Welcome to the NRL Punters Weekly Digest, your one-stop shop for everything you need to know leading into this week's NRL matches. This is part 2 of my State of Origin team lists. I'm going to run through the 1 to 21 for New South Wales that I have in my squad. Starting at fullback, I have James Tedesco, the world's best player, the world's best fullback certainly. There really wasn't anyone else that was going to get that spot, let's be honest. On the wings, I've gone with some older heads. I've gone with Daniel Tupou and Josh Addo-Carr. Josh Addo-Carr, not really that old in rugby league terms, but obviously an old head at first grade and rep level. In the centres, I've gone for Latrell Mitchell on the right-hand side and Jack Wyden on the left-hand side. I could have gone with a lot of players here. New South Wales have got the advantage of having a plethora of outside backs that are in form available to them. I know that Brad Fittler likes to fill his backline with fullbacks. I've kind of done this here because let's be honest, Jack Wyden started out as a fullback. Latrell is a fullback. What I like about these two guys is they've got a lot of steal and defense, which is very important at State of Origin level, and you get a lot of attack there. Those guys will play like extra, ball-playing fullback / 5'8", so they give New South Wales some extra options. Also, with Jack Wyden, they give him an extra option from a kicking perspective, an in-game kicking perspective. He's obviously got one of the longest boots in the comp, so that really helps New South Wales there. In the halves, I've gone Cody Walker and Nathan Cleary. I know a lot of people are calling for Jarome Luai to be named number 6 for New South Wales. I am personally a huge fan of Jarome Luai. However, I have to give the spot to Cody Walker, who's been there before. Admittedly, hasn't played his best, but I think he's ready for a second shot. And he's been in form for years also. Aside that, I didn't want to give the spot to Jarome Luai because my understanding was that he wanted to commit to the Kiwis and he didn't want to play State of Origin as a result. I'm not sure where his thinking is at the moment with respect to that, but I think if you want to play for New South Wales or Queensland, you've got to be doing it for more than the money or just because you're making a rep team. You've got to do it because you feel a connection. Cody Walker has that connection. I'm not sure if Jarome Luai has it based on the fact that he hasn't yet, to my knowledge, committed to New South Wales. In my front row, I've got David Klemmer, Damien Cook, and Junior Paulo. I think for a lot of people, David Klemmer might not be in their side given what happened last year, personality clashes with Brad Fittler or whatever that was. But I think with David Klemmer, you know what you're getting at a rep level. You know what he's going to bring to the table, and that's what you want. What David Klemmer brings to the table is what you want in your side. Junior Paulo, self-explanatory. He's just a menace when he's got the ball in his hand, and he's a menace when he doesn't have the ball in his hand. He's a big bopper with a lot of ticker. And he's perfect for this modern game. Damien Cook picks himself as the Australian hooker. I've gone with a really tough back row too. I've gone Angus Crichton, Wade Graham, and Isaiah Yeo. Isaiah Yeo's there for a lot of reasons, but mainly for his ball playing and the fact that he's really tough in defense. The other two guys, we know what they do. They're good line runners. Wade Graham has been a 5'8" in the past. He's got a lot of ball play in him. And they're both very tough. You're not going to get many gaps with that kind of back row. You're going to have to punch holes to get through, basically, is what I'm trying to say. On my bench, I've got Pappy, Ryan Pappenhausen, because there's no way I couldn't have him in my 17. That guy needs to see some game time. If he is in the 17, which I think it will be, it'll be interesting to see how Brad Fittler uses him, whether he comes in at the back end of a half. Who knows? Payne Haas has been in form for a few years now, one of the sole shining lights in that Brisbane outfit. Cameron Murray, we know what Cameron Murray brings us from lock. He's a little guy who plays above his weight, but he creates and he plugs up gaps. And Nathan Brown, who's another ball-playing lock that's really useful to have in your side. And he's got a bit of mongrel in him, which I really like in the State of Origin player. In my reserve, so 18 to 21, I've got Jerome Luai in there. I had to put him in there. That's kind of a nod to him saying, hey, you're on track. I think you're good enough to be in this team. Whether or not he gets picked is another story. Toby Rudolph might be a surprise selection for some. I'm a big fan of this guy. When he runs the ball, he makes a dent. And he's a big body. He's hard to bring down. And I like what he does in defense too. I think if he doesn't get selected this year in one of the games, obviously always dependent on what the injury situation is looking like for either side. If he doesn't get picked this year, if his form continues, he's definitely going to play some rep football in his career. Tyson Frizzell, probably not at his best, but still worthy of being in that 21. And Brian To'o. If it wasn't going to be Brian To'o, it was going to be Clint Gutherson as a utility back. Obviously, you can play him anywhere. I'd probably be leaning more towards Clint Gutherson now that I think about it, but Brian To'o being named there was just, for mine, of the available outside backs, probably the most exciting prospect. He's definitely on the radar if he doesn't play this season. That's it for my New South Wales State of Origin team list. If you like this content, give me a like. Do the subscribe stuff. You know what it is. And yeah, let me know your thoughts on my team and let me know your team so we can kind of all share our teams together and maybe come up with a super team built on general consensus of what everyone is thinking player-wise. I don't know. I'm just jibber-jabbing now. I'll see you on the next video.